to the Prophecy Club. I made about an hour talk where I went through and explained all of the stuff about the Pope and the things that relate to it in the scriptures, and I think it was just really dynamic, but unfortunately it stretched over an hour. So I'm spreading it over several broadcasts, and now I'm going to continue with where we left off in yesterday's broadcast. Now, let's go on to another vision that I personally suspect is from the Lord. Now, this particular guy doesn't have the title of prophet. He doesn't have a long list of prophecies that have come to pass. This is David Phillips. This is the guy that I have on the radio from time to time that simply reads the news to us. And this Monday that the Pope resigned, I called him and said, "Hey, did you hear about the Pope?" He said, "No, I didn't." And I said, "Yeah, well, he's resigned. And do you know what that means?" He said, "No. That means they're going to put in the next Pope. And the prophecy is that he's going to be the false prophet." And he said, "Yeah, I know what he looks like." I said, "Do you know what he looks like?" He said, "Yeah, I had a vision." Well, here's the vision. Okay, now you can throw it out the window if you want. But since it lines up with Scripture and it lines up with what the angel told Dimitri, I think we better listen. And this was the vision. We call it, "I Saw the Last Pope." This vision was received by David Phillips to the best of his memory around the year 2000. He says, "I was a new believer in Jesus Christ at the time. It was the last time I was in the Catholic Church for Mass. During the service, they called everybody to stand, which I stood up. When I stood up, the vision started. I saw what looked to be like a movie screen directly in front of me. Then the left and right sides of the screen expanded to forever. Also, the top and bottom of the movie screen expanded to what looked like forever. I was no longer focused on church. All I saw was, or thinking about, was the vision in front of me as it played. The vision that I had was of the last Pope. The Pope that I saw was standing in front of masses of people in Italy. This Pope looked young, maybe in his 30s or 40s. He had dark hair and dark facial hair. He was not frail, but big and heavy. I'm almost positive he was Italian. He was speaking before a packed crowd at the Vatican. He was standing above and in front of the people as he spoke. It looked like he was on top of the Vatican. He was high so that he could speak to the people. They were shouting in front of him. The thing that really troubled me were the things that he was shouting. The words he was saying were not love and kindness, as with past popes. He was threatening and attacking the Protestants, saying that the Catholic Church must rise up and unite against the Protestants. He was saying that the Protestants are fake and outside of the true, unquote, Catholic Church and are not real believers. He said the penalty for them must be death. The masses of people were in complete agreement with this. They had been called to action, and the Catholic Church members would now rise in persecution of Protestants in all countries. The words he spoke were so frightening that I could not put into words how mere words could be so powerful in developing such a reaction in me. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. He was more convincing than Hitler. I instinctively knew in my heart that he was talking about me and other true believers that were fewer in number. I knew that what he was saying was the opposite of the truth, but the people believed in him anyway. We are true believers. I started to sweat because of the fear of the words and the persecution that would now begin for the true believers in Jesus Christ. He said, "Life will change forever." All of a sudden, the screens came in, and I was standing back in the Catholic Church. I was so thankful that I was back in the church because persecution of the true believers had not yet started. At this time, John Paul II was still Pope, alive and well. Could it be that Russia has a new weapon that can defeat all American defenses and allows Russian airplanes to drop nuclear bombs at will all across our land, and we can't do anything to stop it? Then, once our strength is destroyed, the Catholic killing machine can operate freely, fulfilling the scriptures in Revelation about all of the martyrs in America. In the angel visitation November 22, 1995 to Dimitri Duduman called Israel and America, quoted in part says, "It seemed I was suddenly on an American airplane, which was about to land with me in California. When I was about to disembark, I heard sirens, which howled loudly, and a great sound of many planes was heard." I know what you're thinking, wait a minute, you just told me the planes were silent. Yes. My guess is some of the first planes will be the silent ones, with all the technology to shoot down any plane that comes after them. But then it makes sense to me that the mass of the planes are still these old World War II prop jobs that don't have to be fast because they've already destroyed anything that's going to come after them. And they do the lion's share of the dropping of the bombs. Okay, we do the same thing. First thing we send in is our stealth aircraft. Then after they've destroyed all the radar installations and all of their offensive weapons, then we bring the other older airplanes in. We do the same thing. All right, now let me continue. It seemed I was suddenly on an American airplane which was about to land in California. When I was about to disembark, I heard the sirens howled loudly, and a great sound of many planes was heard. I could not see the sky because there were so many planes. Let me read that again. When I looked, I could not see the sky because there were so many planes. The man with me said, "The punishment draws closer. Look closely and read." When I looked up, I saw a written scroll appear before my eyes. The writing was in Romanian, and it said, "American people, those of you who have dishonored me and mocked me, you who have brought hatred and blasphemy against my name throughout the world, for these things my judgment draws closer. As for my children, those who have worshipped me with all of their hearts, I will fight for them, and I will give them victory and safety. I will separate those who have worshipped me from those who have not, as I separated Goshen and Egypt." The noise of the engines grew even louder. The man beside me turned to me and said, "These are planes loaded with atom bombs, and no one and nothing will be able to stop them." Then, suddenly, a great number of black planes lifted off the ground like a flock of birds. I knew the planes were American, but I had no knowledge of what the purpose was or what they seemed to do. I heard a voice saying, "My word is righteous. I am the Christ, who has brought this news to you. Do not be quiet. Tell the American people all that I've told you and all that I've revealed to you ahead of time, for the destruction is coming over them, and I did not allow it to come unannounced. The punishment is even at the door." While I was praying, I heard a prophecy for myself. "Get ready and sanctify yourself, you and yours, that you and yours may not take part in the trials that are ahead. This is why I have shown you these things. I have shown you what is to come in a short while. All that you have seen is at the door, because the sin and wickedness has reached the throne of God's mercy." Then there was a great lightning and thunder. I fell to the ground and was awakened from my sleep. We are living in the last days. I have given you substantial reasons why we are on the last days. But do not think Jesus is about to come. It's not going to happen. And certainly do not think that you're going to be sucked in the air as the way God protects you. However, as he said here, as the scriptures say in many places, he will protect his own. But you have to be living with no spot, no wrinkle. You have to have that prayer closet. You have to have a close relationship with him, just like it said here, get ready. I think this is speaking to all of us. Get ready. Sanctify yourself, you and yours, so that you and yours may not take part in the trials that are ahead. In another place, he says, if you don't, then you will deny him. I want you to understand that this is a warning. If you don't listen to the warning, if you're not clean enough, you're going to deny Christ and you'll lose your salvation. Now's the time to receive Jesus. If you're a Christian already, got to make certain that you got rid of all of those spots and wrinkles. God sees it, and he is displeased with the Christians that have brought hatred and blasphemy and dishonored him and mocked him, saying that they are Christians, but they don't live the Christian life. Now's the time to return to Jesus. Okay, now, since we've been discussing the Pope, let's go to where the Pope is talked about in Bible prophecy. Let's go to Revelation 17. And let me just teach through this and show you the Pope in prophecy. "And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." Now, who is a whore? Well, who is the woman in prophecy? And I just spoke at a church just this past Sunday, and I asked the group that, and they answered correctly. They said it's either Israel or the church. That's right. Okay, in other words, the woman, and the reason she's called a woman is because Christ is the bridegroom, and so we are his wife-to-be, you understand? So when it talks about a woman in prophecy, it's talking about the female companion of Jesus. Okay, so when it says the great whore, well, who is a whore? Okay, a whore is someone that has gone after someone else, that in our vernacular today, who sells herself. Okay, so this is saying that whoever this is talking about is someone that used to be with Christ, but has gone away from Christ and has sold herself out. Now, you remember About a week ago, I interviewed Bree Keaton, and she said that she had the devil come to her on 2 different occasions, and he offered to make her, well, he said essentially that if you'll just make a couple of changes, if you'll serve me, then I will give you great wealth. In other words, she was asking to be sold out, to sell herself out, to leave Christ and to do what the devil wanted. And this apparently is talking about a church that has left Christ and has left Christ for financial riches. The primary ministries that are doing well are the ones that have left Christ and are doing what it takes to make money. And that's one of the reasons our ministry continues to struggle with money, and probably always will be, until God sends the breakthrough, the finances for us to drill the well in Israel. And then from then on, financial problems, I believe, will not be a problem. But until then, it's difficulty. And the reason is because we're not supposed to be going after money. We're not supposed to let the devil or the world convince us that money is the way to go. Instead, we're supposed to choose Christ. It goes back to the same choice when the serpent came to Eve and asked her basically, do you choose God or would you like to have knowledge? Would you like to have the knowledge of eating the fruit of this tree, the knowledge of good and evil? And of course, she chose knowledge over God and Christ and holiness. Now, let's go back to what it says. I will show you the judgment of the great whore that setteth upon many waters. Now, later in the chapter, it's going to tell you that the many waters are nations, languages, and tongues. In other words, it's the people of the earth. So this is a church. We'll be right back after this message. God is speaking to Augusto Perez with angel visits audibly and has given him 44 dreams and visions, showing him some amazing things about the future of America and the world. In End of Times, his topics are the Great Shaking, the coming famine, the double portion outpouring, the coming attack on the U.S., the Great Darkness, the super devaluation of the dollar, and how God will protect his own. In 1991, Leslie and I went on a 2-week archaeological tour with Ron Wyatt. We walked all over Noah's Ark, brought back a piece of it, and we made it into a new DVD called Noah's Ark Confirms the Bible. Topics are, what is gopher wood, pictures of Noah's Ark, the core drill, the lab test, radar scans, Turkey recognizes this Noah's Ark, Drogue anchor stones, Noah's Ark Confirms the Bible, $20, DVD End of Times gift of $30, get both for a gift of just $35. You want to order the January gift offer, go online to prophecyclub.com or call 785-266-1112. The February gift offer is Angels at Work. Prophet Leslie tells of many examples in her life in which the Lord set forth his angels to bring back lost items, keep her loved ones out of harm's way, and comforted her in difficult times and directed her footsteps. You will learn how to call on ministering spirits in time of need, be uplifted, encouraged, and build your faith. In True or False Prophecies, also by Prophet Leslie, she helps you to recognize the lies and false information that can lead you away from the truth. Topics are, recognize a true or false prophecy or prophet, receive the best blessings, receive a double blessing, recognize the anointing for the spirit of prophecy. Then, Will You Survive America's Fall by Doug Metzger is talking about how he had a very radical salvation and God began to immediately give him visions. He shares 16 visions of America's future, and he was shown how unspeakable torment is coming to America to turn us back to God. Topics are America the Fallen Tree, vision of how the church was formed, vision of a nuclear missile, 12 cities destroyed, a million voices screaming, 2 explosions, 10-to-1 inflation, dollar becomes worthless, the begging woman and the turnstile, the great betrayal, only prayer is protection, and the greatest horror and revival at the same time. Angels at Work, $20, True or False Prophecies, $30, Will You Survive America's Fall, $30, 3 DVDs valued at $80 for a gift of just $45. It's the February gift offer available at prophecyclub.com or calling 785-266-1112. And now, back to the program. Are nations, languages, and tongues. In other words, it's the people of the earth. So this is a church that is a global church that sets upon many nations. So is that the Baptists? No. Is that the Protestants? No. I mean, there are Protestant churches around the globe, but there is not one Protestant church I know of that covers the globe like the Catholic Church covers. So, in my opinion, there is, and let me also say, I'm not trying to beat up on the Catholic Church, but every church out there has made mistakes. Everyone, including ours, someplace, okay? Because there is none righteous, no, not one, okay? So, all of the churches have made mistakes. However, this church fits the prophecy because it is one that was married to Christ, but has gone away from Christ and has chosen wealth rather than holiness, and it is large in that it sits across several borders, making it set upon many people or many nations. Now, verse 2. By the way, I cover all of this in my new DVD, Revelation Verse by Verse. So if you want to hear the whole book of Revelation taught through like this, then you want to get that DVD. Okay, verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. You want to know why God destroys this church? You want to know why God destroys America? I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it's because of our abortion. No, it's because of gays and same-sex marriages. No, it's because we have corrupted the world. We were blessed because we were the nation that took the Bible to the world. Now we're the nation that is taking the filth to the world. It says in verse 2, with whom the kings have committed fornication. In other words, our nation, and specifically this church, is the church that has made many other nations, many other churches, many other Christians to go away from the truth of the gospel, the truth of Christ. Okay, that's what it's saying. The kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Now, what's it saying when it says drunk? It means that they have gone away from the teachings of Christ to a great degree. Verse 3. So he carried me away in the Spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman, that's the church, set upon a scarlet-colored beast. Okay, the scarlet-colored beast is the world government. You remember what the angel told Dmitri? Then God will raise up China and Japan and many of the nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat the Russians. They'll back the Russians at the gates of Paris where they make a peace treaty, but they make the Russians their leader. In other words, the world government is going to be basically a world communist doctrine that covers the world. So red is the color for communism. So when it says this woman, that is the church, the Catholic Church, that rides upon this world government that is basically communistic. Well, how is it that the Catholic Church rides upon the world government? Who is it that has given the kings of the earth their crowns? That would be the Pope. That wasn't the Muslim leader. Okay, that wasn't the Buddhist leader. That was the Pope. In other words, where this Pope gets his power and his strength, his authority, and his finances is from the world government. And of course, right now, that's where the Catholic Church gets its finances and strength right now, is from the governments that are in charge at this time. But in the future, this is talking about this Pope, this Catholic Church, this Roman Catholic Church sits upon or gains its strength from the world government that is based upon communism. That's why it says, and I saw a woman, or the church, set upon a scarlet-colored beast, or the communist world government. That's what it's saying. Full of names of blasphemy. Blasphemy means that you go against God, you speak against God. Having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, we know that when it says head, it's talking about a landmass. So this is 7 continents. Stan, how do you know it's talking about a landmass? Because the King James Bible has a built-in dictionary. You just go to the first time you find the word head, and it defines it. And the first time it's found head is back in Genesis, and it's talking about when the 2 rivers come to a head. Okay? I've looked it up. So it's talking about a landmass. So this is 7 continents that they divide into 10 global regions. The 10 horns also fits with the 10 toes of Daniel chapter 2 of the statue, you see. So we're talking about the same thing. Verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and these, by the way, these are the colors of the Catholic Church, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. When Dmitri was called to speak down in Florida at a big Bible prophecy conference, he said, Lord, you're going to have to strengthen me. And the angel spoke in his ear and said, don't worry. He says, I'm going to give you everything to say. So when he walked up there, this was during the war with Saddam Hussein. And everybody was saying, oh, Babylon's going to fall, and is talking about a rock, okay? They misunderstood. This is what Dimitri Duduman said. He had him turn to this verse, Jeremiah 51, verse 7. And he read it. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And the angel spoke in his ear, and he said, ask them, when Saddam Hussein prays, to what God does he pray to? And of course they all answered, he prays to Allah. He says, well, this is a Babylon that hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. In other words, this is talking about America. And it says the same words that Revelation 17 says, that had made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. In other words, the nations have gone against the righteousness of Christ. Therefore, the nations are mad. Now, yes, they are mad at America. There's no question of that. But they're saying that the nations are like crazy with just foolish thinking. The word here for mad is really talking about foolish. In other words, the nations have become mad, or they become foolish. They become crazy because they have not followed the ways of Christ, the true way, you see. Verse 8, it goes on to say, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. In other words, America is suddenly fallen, as in how long? 1 hour, okay? And destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one to his own country. For her judgment reaches unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. In other words, there is going to be a time that God will tell us to leave America, but that time is not yet. It's saying that America is Babylon, and it's saying that she was a golden cup in the Lord's hand, but the reason God destroys her is because we corrupt the nations of the world. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. And that's what the angel told Dimitri too. Same thing. And I saw the woman, I saw the church. Now listen to this carefully. This is real important. I saw the woman, the Catholic Church, drunken with the blood of saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Hold on, time out. What is that saying? It's saying that in the future, under the leadership of this next pope, the Catholic Church will turn against the Protestants with great fury and will begin to slaughter the Christians, okay? I mean, they've done it in the past. If you read your history about the Inquisition, I'm not trying to attack the Catholic Church. The Pope's office is about to be hijacked, and they're about to be taken over, and the Pope is about to begin to turn Catholics that think the Pope is God here on earth against the true Christians. Now, let me read it again. I saw the woman, I saw the church, drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Now, guys, you can't jump out of that one. You know, there's no other way to redefine that. No, there's no other way to cut that up. You can't divide that out and say that is any other thing other than what it is. It's saying the Catholic Church is about to turn into a Christian killing machine, a machine that will kill the holy people that truly worship Jesus. Now, let's go on. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore did thou marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carried her, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and shall go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. Now, I don't have time to explain all that. That's on the DVD, so if you want to know about that, then you've got to get the DVD. I'm trying to talk about the Pope today. Here is the mind that has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, i.e., 7 continents, as I explained, on the which the woman, or the Catholic Church, sitteth. There are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and he is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. Again, all of that is all explained on the DVD. I don't have time for that today. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which are received no kingdom as yet. And I know a lot of people think that's talking about popes. I do not think that's talking about popes. It says they are talking about kings. I believe it's political. I believe it's not on the religious side, okay? But they'll receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Okay, this is, I believe, talking about how in other places in Revelation, the world governments turn their power, turn their military, their weapons over to the New World Order. Verse 13, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. There you go, that's it. So they turn all of their weapons, all of their wealth, everything over to the world government. 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples, multitudes, and nations, and tongues. So this is talking about a church that rules over basically the whole world. Now, yes, there's a lot of Muslims, there's a lot of Buddhists, but when it comes to the one that's really in charge, that's the Catholic Church and the Pope. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. These are the 10 global regions, will hate the Catholic Church. Okay, will hate the whore, and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. This is the world government that attacks and defeats America and pretty much all the rest of the Christians at the end. Now, there's two, I've already talked about this, when the Bible says in like 3 different places, Babylon is fallen, there's 2 judgments coming on America. The first one is the beginning of World War III on, around, or shortly after 2020. Anytime after 2020, you can look for America to be destroyed, okay? On, around, or after 2020. And the first destruction comes because we are corrupting the earth. The second destruction comes because of the Christian blood that has been shed in America. Let me say it again. The first judgment comes because of the Christian's sin. The second judgment comes because of the Christian innocent blood that is shed in our nation. Verse 17. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to grieve, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, that is the Vatican, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Now, if you want more on this, I encourage you to get the DVD called Revelation Verse by Verse. Just made it here, 3 or 4 months ago. Redid it. It's very nice. The point is, we are about to be in the middle of the end times. This false prophet is about to hijack and take over the position of Pope, and you watch. He will stand up and start coming against the Protestants. Now, maybe that's not going to be his first speech. It might not even happen the first month or 2. Maybe it'll even be several years before he begins to speak that way. But eventually, this next Pope is going to come against the Protestants and to kill them and to turn on the Catholic-sponsored Christian killing machine. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers and your gifts of support. God bless.
Prayerfully consider supporting the Prophecy Club with your gifts of support. We would not be here without your prayers and generous financial support.
Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. The February gift offer is Angels at Work. Prophet Leslie tells of many examples in her life in which the Lord set forth his angels to bring back lost items, keep her loved ones out of harm's way, and comforted her in difficult times and directed her footsteps. You will learn how to call on ministering spirits in time of need, be uplifted, encouraged, and build your faith. In True or False Prophecies, also by Prophet Leslie, she helps you to recognize the lies and false information that can lead you away from the truth. Topics are: recognize a true or false prophecy or prophet, receive the best blessings, receive a double blessing, recognize the anointing for the spirit of prophecy. Then, Will You Survive America's Fall by Doug Metzger is talking about how he had a very radical salvation and God began to immediately give him visions. He shares 16 visions of America's future, and he was shown how unspeakable torment is coming to America to turn us back to God. Topics are: America the Fallen Tree, vision of how the church was formed, vision of a nuclear missile, 12 cities destroyed, a million voices screaming, 2 explosions, 10-to-1 inflation, dollar becomes worthless, the begging woman and the turnstile, the great betrayal, only prayer is protection, and the greatest horror and revival at the same time. Angels at Work, $20. True or False Prophecies, $30. Will You Survive America's Fall, $30. 3 DVDs valued at $80 for a gift of just $45. It's the February gift offer, available at prophecyclub.com or calling 785-266-1112.